there will be repercussions?
I think that would be entirely a hypothetical question. And so if the Brits decide they want to comment that way, they're more than welcome to do so. But we're going to wait until the facts come out and we call again for a thorough and transparent investigation.
Will there be repercussions?
Carol, I'm not going to get ahead or assume that anything happened. We're calling for a thorough and transparent investigation. And again, let me say this one more time. I'll leave it at that. I don't have anything more for you on this today.
Can you just confirm if it was
Secretary planned to speak himself with his counterpart in Saudi Arabia, and did he raise this question when he spoke with the Crown Prince last week?
I can confirm that the Secretary has had phone conversations, but I don't have any of the details, and some of those would just be private diplomatic conversations, which I will not be able to read out. Last time I'll say this, I don't have anything more for you on this today. If and when I have more, I will bring it to you, okay? Go right ahead.
On the Palestinians.
Yes.
Can I have one more follow-up on Khashoggi, please?
Sir, I don't have anything.
It's in relation to what you just said.
I don't have anything more for you on that. When I do, I would be happy to give it to you.
And you decide if you don't.
Okay, I've not met you before, but go right ahead. Welcome to the State Department, and tell me your publication.
Fadi Mansour with Al Jazeera. I've been covering this place for 10 years now. Thank you very much.
Pardon me?
I've been covering this place for 10 years. I don't come every day.
Okay, well, it's nice to meet you. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you for giving me
the
opportunity to ask questions.
And this will be the last question on this. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the fact that you called on the Saudis to carry an investigation, is the State Department assuming that Saudi Arabia is responsible for the whereabouts of Khashoggi?
We're not assuming anything, only because it was their consulate. We're asking them to conduct an investigation.
Thank you.
Saeed, go right ahead.
Very quickly, U.S. Envoy Mr. Greenblatt said that the Trump plan, the deal of the century, is heavily focused on Israeli security. Does that mean that you guys are giving up on the two-state solution, or you don't see any contradictions between?
This is something that we have talked about for a very, very long time. We support that if both parties can agree to it.
Right.
That hasn't changed.
This was only yesterday. I mean, he went out of his way to say that it is focused on Israeli security. What does that mean to you?
I'm not going to parse his words. I just refer you back to his comments, but our position has not changed. As the president has laid out, as he did not too long ago at the UN General Assembly, that we support a two-state solution if both sides can agree to that.
And one quick question on a young American student who has been detained in Israel for the past 5 days because she supports BDS. Can you share with us if you've done anything? Has she contacted the American embassy, or are you in touch with her?
We are aware of her case. Our embassy is providing consular access, as we would to all American citizens. We value freedom of expression. You and I have talked about this many times. Also in cases where people don't agree with local policies or even the United States policies. Ultimately, it is up to the government of Israel to decide who it wants to let into the country. I don't have anything more for you on that.
This young woman, Lara Qasim, she has a visa. She was accepted at the Hebrew University. She was going there to study and so on. All the stuff that she should have done was already done. Are you not concerned about that?
Saeed, it's ultimately up to the government of Israel, or any country for that matter, to decide which individuals, which Americans it wants to let in. Okay?
The issue here is not that she wasn't allowed in, it's that she's being detained.
Excuse me, or being detained. I don't have any information beyond that, okay? Lori, go right ahead.
Hi. Dr. Murad, the Yazidi woman was captured by ISIS and held captive, just won the Nobel Peace Prize, probably everyone knows, and she spoke yesterday. And she did note one positive point, the start of demining in Yazidi areas, which I assume is related to Secretary Pompeo's announcement in July at the Religious Freedom Conference of extra money for demining in the northern Iraq, the religious minority areas. So they're very happy with that. But overall, it was a grim picture, and among her complaints was no justice for Yazidis. And you and others, including the UN, have recognized ISIS assault on the Yazidis as genocide, but the Iraqi government hasn't. Are you prepared to put any pressure on them to do so?
I'm not familiar with her remarks. Of course, I'm familiar with who she is. She was one of the guests at our Religious Freedom Ministerial that was held over the summer. We were so proud to have hosted her here. My understanding is that the vice president is meeting with her. I believe it's today. The secretary and I had a brief exchange about her becoming one of the co-winners of the Nobel Peace Prize, and we're really proud of her. She's a very heroic woman who's done so much to advance the cause of not just religious freedom, but also freedom for women, especially freedom from sexual crimes. I don't have her comments. I don't have those remarks, so I'm just not going to comment on it beyond that.
How about her call for an international criminal trial for those members of ISIS who have committed these crimes against Yazidis?
I'm afraid I just don't have anything for you on that today. Okay? Okay. Hi, and how are you?
Thank you. Welcome from North Korea.
Thank you.
Okay, on North Korea, this trip has Kim Jong-un submitted a list of nuclear facilities, or you got anything from him for evidence of a nuclear list?
We sure did. We made a lot of progress. As you know, we just got back from last night from 4 countries, and I think it was 3 days. So it was a very busy time. The Secretary and Chairman Kim discussed the 4 pillars of the Singapore summit. That was something that was important for them to do. They spent considerable time together. The Secretary and the President, of course, have referenced that since. The Secretary just over at the White House speaking about this. Among the things they also discussed was an upcoming second summit that would be attended by our President and also Chairman Kim, and we look forward to working on all of the details of that. They also agreed to instruct their respective working level groups led by Steve Biegun, our special representative, and also his counterpart, who was named in North Korea, to start intensifying discussions on some of those 4 pillars that were laid out in the Singapore summit. As you know, Chairman Kim had invited inspectors to visit the Pyongyang nuclear test site to confirm that it has been irreversibly dismantled. We were pleased with that. And President Trump looks forward to continuing to build upon the trust that was first established at the Singapore summit. So we view it as making a lot of progress. We're pleased with that.
But North Korea has already destroyed Punggye-ri nuclear site and the Dongchang-ri missile site.
I think we can say this. We can affirmatively say that they invited a group of journalists out to watch something take place. Inspectors have not been there yet. So inviting inspectors to join, to take a look, and do their work is entirely different from what we've seen already.
Is that helpful for denuclearization?
I'm sorry?
Is this helpful for the denuclearizations, for what you need? Yes, exactly needed to, but
that would be a positive step forward, and Chairman Kim agreed to that, to have inspectors at that site. Okay, go ahead. Let's just hold on. I'll come back to you. Hi.
So you've made progress on a Trump-Kim summit. Do you have any idea of like the timing on that? Like, will it be before the end of the year or sometime afterwards?
Well, as the president has said, and I'm not going to get ahead of the president, of course, but the president has said he looks forward to seeing Chairman Kim soon. As you all remember, when we were planning for the Singapore summit, that takes time. There are a lot of details that are involved in pulling together a summit of that magnitude. We need to find a place that both countries can get to. We have to compare schedules. Chairman Kim's schedule, the president's schedule, the secretary's schedule, probably National Security Advisor Bolton's schedule, a lot of schedules. We also have to identify a place that has the infrastructure that is needed to accommodate 5,000 journalists. I believe there were 5,000 that were accredited last time. So there are a lot of things that come into play here, and so we are hard at work at that. I know Steve Biegun looks forward to having follow-on conversations with his counterpart about some of those details that go into the summit, and as soon as we have something for you, we'll let you know. Okay?
So would you say that what you're waiting for to announce even a time or a location for that, is it all just logistical then?
Well, Michelle, as I just said, and I'll repeat it again, a lot goes into this. We start with comparing schedules. We start with comparing schedules.
No, you don't have to repeat it.
Okay.
I'm trying to save you some time. So are you saying that it's all logistical before you announce a date and time, or are you waiting for North Korea to do something?
We are looking forward to having our second summit. The president is looking forward to doing that. The timing of that will ultimately be announced by the White House. It'll be a White House-led meeting. And when we're ready to announce that, we will.
But the question is, since you listed all the logistics involved, are you simply waiting for logistics, or are you waiting for North Korea to do something related to denuclearization?
We have not said anything about waiting for North Korea to do anything more.
Okay.
in order to have that summit.
And when you say a lot
Nick?
of progress, since Pyongyang is by many accounts an aging facility that's already been destroyed, by allowing inspectors to come there and see this, which is not necessarily key to North Korea's current and future nuclear program, why would you characterize that as a lot of progress?
Michelle, I think that's a very good step. I'll go back and say it one more time. What you have seen were a bunch of journalists brought out to that site, and you saw some sort of an explosion. Sending in inspectors to take a look around is an entirely different step and a step in the right direction, and we think that that's progress, along with the other things that were addressed in the meeting. Okay. Nick, go ahead.
Just as a follow-up to that, I think one of the big questions is what exactly the administration, Secretary Pompeo, President Trump, actually want to achieve from this summit. What's the headline?
I'm not going to get ahead of the president. The secretary firmly believes, and I know that this is much to your dismay, to reporters' dismay, that our negotiations are best handled in public. So I'm not going to negotiate it here with all of you from the podium, and I'll let our experts do the negotiating and do their work and not get ahead of that. Okay? Hi.
The first summit was about general commitments, complete denuclearization by Chairman Kim. Do you expect from the next summit to achieve a broader agreement with
I'm not going to get ahead of what is being discussed at that summit. Okay, my job is not to lay out what our policy will be.
But because we see your goal, we don't see your method. So
that's a fair point. You see our goal, but you don't see our method. That is something.
Progress step by step, or
that is something that we will discuss.
Everything.
We will discuss that with the North Koreans and not the broader public, not the media, because we believe that negotiations, some of these complicated negotiations, are best handled between our country and theirs. And our objective is to get to the fully, final, verified denuclearization of North Korea. We are working hard toward that goal. We think we've made progress, and we'll continue working toward that goal. Hi, go ahead. Hi. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So Secretary Pompeo did not meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping on Monday. Could you please shed some light on what happened and what was the reason provided by Chinese government? Because it's an understanding that arrangements were being made for this meeting to happen.
We never announced any specific meetings ahead of our trip to China. It is not every time that the secretary would go to any given country that he would be meeting with the president of that country. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. And so that was just a reflection of this trip. But I know the secretary had good, constructive meetings with his Chinese counterparts that he met with yesterday.
Has the U.S. asked to such meeting to happen? Has the United States asked China ask Chinese government to arrange a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping?
Not to my knowledge. Anything going forward, we'll let you know when we have that planned.
Would you characterize the U.S.-China relationship as a strategic competitor?
Well, look, there's certainly a competitor. It's a complex and broad-based relationship that we have with China, as you all saw in the comments and exchanges between the secretary and his counterparts. We have areas of common interest. North Korea is one of them. Working to combat illegal narcotics is another area where we work well together. We also have areas of disagreement and areas where we have challenges, and we'll keep working together on that. It's obviously an important relationship that we need to work hard to maintain. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah.
Was the secretary surprised that Ambassador Haley resigned? Does he have any comment? Could you share with us what was his reaction?
Well, I think the secretary addressed that from the White House today, in which he talked about what a great partner Ambassador Haley has been. The secretary and Ambassador Haley have worked very well together since the beginning of this administration, but I would say more closely once he became Secretary of State. At the working level, from my level, her team and Ambassador Haley have been wonderful to work with. Sorry to see her depart. This happens, of course, in administrations. The secretary, I think, is sorry to see her depart as well. I'm not going to get into who knew what, when, and all of that. What is ultimately important is that the president knew about her decision well in advance. They had those conversations. I'm not privy to those conversations, so I'd have to refer you to the White House for that. We're sorry to see her go and thank her for all her incredible service that she's done on behalf of the U.S. government and on taxpayers at the United Nations. Okay. Last question, I'm going to have to go.
So we saw the exchange of rhetorics when Secretary Pompeo was in China, would you say those tensions now between United States and China would spill over to your cooperation on North Korea at this very critical time?
We don't think so, because China again and again has said to us, publicly and privately, that they are committed to the denuclearization of North Korea. They understand that. They recognize that. They recognize the importance of that matter. We don't think they're backing away. What we do say, though, is that countries, including China and Russia, can always do more. They can do more, but they are also one of the countries that had voted for UN Security Council resolutions, and so we expect those to uphold those. I'll do one last question, Nazira. Hi. Were you at the White House earlier today?
Yes.
Did I see you? I thought I saw your yellow over there.
Yeah.
She gets around.
Okay,
Thank you.
I have two questions. One question regarding Afghan delegation. Dr. Abdullah was here. What is their, do you think that they have any achievement? Do they meet any high officials, U.S. authorities?
I'm afraid I don't have any information as to whether or not Dr. Abdullah was here at the State Department or here in Washington. I can look.
New York. I'm asking about
he was
General
in-
Assemblies.
At
New
the
York.
General Assembly.
Do they have any meeting with the Secretary of State or either President Trump?
I don't recall that. It seems like that was a year ago, even though that was only 2 weeks ago. So I'm so sorry. My apologies. I will have to double check to see if he had any meetings with U.S. officials.
2 weeks ago.
Okay, I'll check on that for you.
Yeah, the next question, the Ambassador Khalilzad.
Yes.
He is in Afghanistan and he traveled to Pakistan. Do you think that, useful for Afghanistan, Khalilzad mission?
I think it's extremely helpful to have Ambassador Khalilzad on travel. This is part of our team on the field. Having our people do what they do best, and that is going out and conducting American diplomacy around the world. He is leading an interagency delegation to Afghanistan, to Pakistan, to the UAE, to Qatar, and also to Saudi Arabia. It's a fairly lengthy trip. His mission there is to coordinate our U.S. efforts to bring the Taliban to the negotiating table. This is still Afghan-led, Afghan-owned. Our policy has not changed in any way, but we're proud and pleased to have him out there advocating on this behalf, and we'll be working in close coordination with the Afghan government. I've got to go, guys. We'll see you again real soon. Thanks. I'll get you after, okay?